Dear friends, welcome to the next session for Information Security Fundamentals. Now, we have been discussing a lot about information security and information as well as security separately, and also have combined them in order to derive the meaning for information security. Now, today we will look at the different goals as well as from the perspective of information security that is taken as an architecture. So let's get started. To begin with, some of the analysts also define information security as an architecture which is designed using the CIA triangle. Now the CIA triad has been also discussed earlier, and it stands for confidentiality, integrity and availability. Once again, confidentiality refers to the data or information being confidential or secretive or is shared only with the intended receiver. Integrity refers to zero modification of the data being shared, and availability relates to the availability of data and resources. It might be either hardware or software or data related to the end users whenever there is such type of communication being executed. Basically, an architecture is a combination or an integrated combination of appliances, systems and solutions, software, alarms and vulnerability scans working together, which is monitored across 24 into 7. That means all the things working together and is continuously monitored for vulnerability addresses an architecture. It also has people, processes, technology, policies and procedures without which an architecture will never be able to sustain, because without proper policies and procedures it will be next to impossible to maintain certain parameters which would be supporting the CIA and its associated components. For example, security is not only for appliances or devices, but it is also for the PPT that is being shared or the document that has been emailed. So next, moving ahead, we have the goals for information security. We have been talking about this in our previous lectures also, but we need to discuss this further, in fact throughout the entire syllabus, because these are the pillars on which your information security stands still. So the first goal for information security is confidentiality, where the data is not shared with anyone except the intended receiver. Once again, I would like to give an example or repeat the previous example, where suppose you are sending a file to one of your friend, and that file or the contents of the file has to be read by that particular friend only to whom you have intended to send and no one else. Otherwise, the confidentiality would be compromised. The next important goal is integrity, which comprises of identification, authentication and authorization. So there are 3 steps involved in maintaining this integrity of the data. First, if somebody wants to use the data, then who is that person? He has to identify himself. So when you log into your mail server, what is the data? The mails are the data, and the mails that you want to access, the mails that have come for you alone should be shown to you, and that itself defines integrity. And nobody should see that data, nobody should have manipulated or nobody should have deleted that mail. Neither anybody should have logged in and sent a mail on your behalf. So all this basically refers to integrity issues. Now, how do we first identify ourselves? We use a username and that identifies. Then there is authentication. How does a mail server authenticate? You use the password. The moment this authentication happens, then in the mail server, there will be n number of mailboxes. For example, Gmail will have millions of mailboxes, but you are not authorized. You are being identified by your username. You have been authorized, you have been authenticated to enter the system by password. After that, now you are authorized to go and touch only your mailbox. You cannot go and access anybody else's mailbox. So there are very simple understanding of what it means to have an integrity on data stored. You need to have these three processes, namely identification, authentication and authorization, so that the digital rights management is maintained. This is a very simple way by which one can explain you the digital rights management. There is a digital data in which is there in my email, and I have a right on that particular digital data. So that particular concept has to be clear in our minds before we can actually work with that particular data. So these three steps to maintain data integrity or information integrity is extremely important from the security point of view, because without this, in fact, your identity itself will be lost. The third and important one of the other important goals of information security is availability, which is data and resources should be available all the time. It essentially means that resources correlates to the hardware, the software, the network related resources which you will be needing in order to establish a communication and send or transmit the data across. If you do not have access or available data and information is not there, or the resources which will provide you the platform to send or receive this data is not there, then the availability issue would be compromised. Now, how do we secure the components, or what are the components which are more vulnerable to security threats? A computer can be either or both the subject of an attack or an object of an attack. So this we have to keep in our minds, that the same system that we are using in order to communicate, send a particular data or receive a particular information can be either the subject of the attack or the object of the attack. When a computer is a subject of an attack, it is used as an active tool to conduct that attack. That means through your computer system, the attack to some other computer system is being done, or to some other information system is being done. When it is an object of an attack, your system is on the receiving end. That means it is your system which will have or which will face that attack from some other systems. So when you are diagrammatically representing it, so here you can see a hacker is using a computer as the subject of attack, from which the hacker is sending a request to a remote system that is being attacked. Now the remote system is also essentially a computer or an information based system, and from this particular system he steals the information or he retrieves the information that he can use it for his own purpose. Now this is an important thing. The computer is actually a subject of attack and another computer is an object of an attack. When the hacker sits at a remote system, he has to definitely use the internet in order to access the remote server or the remote system and steal some information back through the internet itself. That means through the communication channel itself. So there are two systems or two computers involved where one is the source computer where the hacker is working, and the other is the computer from where the data is stored, in which the data is stored, and he steals the data from that particular system. Now, in a multi-user system like a single server, two people can log in and one can log in and steal the information of the other. So a single computer can also be an object of multiple attacks or a subject of multiple attacks. Essentially, this relates to a concept which we will be dealing later, where both the sender and the receiver are at the vulnerable are at a vulnerable position, where multiple hackers or multiple attackers might attack the systems simultaneously. Now, moving ahead with some of the characteristics. Good security should have some characteristics. The first and the foremost and important characteristic is effective. That means it has to do what it is expected of doing. That means monitoring and identifying what kind of data or what kind of information is being transmitted, and whether it is being attacked by somebody, or there is any worm, or there is anything else which might be threatening to the existing CIA triad. The next is efficient, where the operation is simple. Now, if you are employing a security process which is very cumbersome to operate, it will not be an effective security mechanism. It should be simple to use for the end users and complicated at the back end, so that it detects almost all possible threats to the system. And the next one is economic. So it has to give you the maximum protection with minimum cost, which is maximum protection with minimum cost, which is if you are using a particular software, let's say an antivirus to use, which would be helping you to identify the bugs or the errors, or let's say the various viruses in your system, you will be going for a product which you are getting for a minimum price as compared to the maximum amount of functionality that it would be offering. Having a product which will cost you around 1 lakh rupees or maybe more than that in order to secure your system would not be of much use if your system does not contain extremely important information. So hence it is important for you to choose the security software or use the security mechanism effectively, so that you derive the maximum protection using the minimum cost. The next important characteristic is it should be accepted and unobtrusive, which means that the software should be, or the software process or security process or mechanism should be easily accepted by the machine that you want to install in, or you want to incorporate your security mechanism into. Last but not the least, you have to remember that nothing is ever 100% secure, which means however security mechanism you might install in your system or you might incorporate it in the entire process, it is extremely important that you work with the data and information carefully, because nothing is ever 100% secure, and people across the world are continuously in the process of developing certain mechanisms by which they can put this entire security mechanism into a compromising state. Now moving ahead with confidentiality, in detail, we have to understand that confidentiality is basically a privacy concept, and we have to identify that what actually needs to be protected. Generally, your personal information, which might deal with all the documents or certain type of information that is related to your personal life. Privilege information, it might be certain uplifting or business contracts which you might have with various other organizations. Business information, these are strictly the business related information or the contracts or documents which are related to your business. And geological information. Now, in order to understand geological information, let us take the example. Recently there was a newspaper article which said that a criminal actually hired a building that was close to half or 1 kilometer away from the bank or from a bank. He actually dug a tunnel from the empty house and dug the tunnel till the safety locker room of that bank, and he went through the tunnel and was able to break open the safety locker and get away with the jewels. So this is essentially a geological information and environmental information, that there exists a house which is an old one and that one can dig a tunnel from the house close to half a kilometer and reach exactly a spot inside the bank in which the safety lockers are there, and then to get off with all the goodies. It is very important information about the bank, about the structure of the bank, that was made available to the criminal. So that the information is essentially privileged information, because the leaking out of that was really a problem, because it created a loss of wealth to the bank. Similar type of information is also being implemented now by Google Maps, where there are indoor mapping systems where you can actually visit a shopping mall virtually without going to that shopping mall, and you can actually move into each and every shop of that shopping mall through the indoor mapping concept that they have implemented. Now just imagine if that geological information of probably your house or a bank is uploaded in a global platform like Google Map, and if there are people having such kind of criminal mindsets actually comes up with a plan of doing such a criminal activity, it would be easier for them to access the geological information and perform the necessary activities according to his plan. So all these things needs to be protected. Now the next important question is, how much protection is needed, or for how long should be protected? Now the question how much protection is needed depends upon what you need to protect. That is your personal information, privilege information, business or geological information. So depending on the category, you have to identify that what should be your security mechanism. If you feel that you need stronger security softwares, then you have to go for high-end softwares. If you feel that no, this bit of information is not very much important from your perspective, then you can go for a limited software, security software. So how long do we protect it? Again, it depends upon the user. As long as if you want it, as long as your data is there, or if you feel that you have removed the data from your repository, you might also not need the software for monitoring or for your security purpose. Now, what are the threats which are associated with confidentiality? So, analysts have classified these threats into hacking, masquerade, unauthorized user activity, unprotected downloadable files, LAN, Trojan horses, etc. A hacker, which is a user with malicious intention, is an unauthorized user with a malicious intent and will try to steal the data. He is a threat to confidentiality. The other important thing is masquerading. So masquerading relates to a situation where I can mimic an authorized user, come into the system and steal information from the system. Any unauthorized user activity, he is an authorized user, but he is doing an activity which he is not supposed to do, is also a threat to confidentiality. He is trying to access a file for which he doesn't have privileges. So basically, masquerading is someone else trying to be me. The third important aspect is unprotected downloadable files. So in one of the early sessions, I did mention about mega upload problem, the case study where people did upload and download files but along with a malware. So these files, when they are downloaded and you open them, you install a malware in your system. If you go and ask the system who installed it, it will say that the user yourself has installed but without your knowledge, and that malware can essentially steal information from your system. The next important threat is local area network, or LAN itself is a threat to confidentiality, because this is how the first exposure of a system to a neighboring system is done. So securing the local area network itself is very important for maintaining confidentiality and of course the Trojan horses. The Trojan horses are some backdoors by which you can steal information. One very interesting example of a Trojan horse was that of a database, which was very popular database, in which the backdoor of the trap was that in any installation, if you entered a new username as politically and password as correct, it gives an admin privilege to whoever enters this username and password. This was found after 7 years of deployment of commercial versions of the database, and it was a very important vulnerability, and basically it was a Trojan which was done by the programmer. So basically Trojan horses are nothing but creating a small door to the databases or small door to the information, or we can call it as a backdoor to the information without the knowledge of the actual owner, and stealing away the information from the backdoor. If you look at several millions of lines of code, it is very difficult for somebody to actually find out that such a Trojan exists by inspecting a source code, and this has led to vulnerability where someone gets an administrative privilege to a database by doing this. Imagine getting an administrative privilege to your banking website. So he or she can create a Trojan and get inside the banking software and steal all your money. So all these confidentiality threads, or all these threads together, leads to the weakening of the confidentiality pillar of your CIA triad, which needs to be addressed at the earliest before actually you can establish a communication or work with data and information. So the next important pillar or next important goal, which is integrity, will be discussed in the next class. That's all for today. Thank you.